Hello students, welcome to Sri Ramanuja Vijaya Mandira Temple for Learning. Students, in previous lecture you learnt about that is palate, okay, hard palate and soft palate, tongue and teeth we discussed, right? And today's class I'm going to teach you that is salivary glands, right? Now I can see student, salivary glands actually how many pairs are there in human being? There are 3 pairs are there now. So one pair, the largest gland, that is that parotid gland, it is located below the ear, and the other one is in the buccal cavity, or also called the oral cavity. There is a tongue is there, no? Below the tongue there is a sublingual gland is present, and below the lower jaw we can represent the submaxillary or submandibulary gland are present, no? Now I can see student, there is a Wharton's duct. Okay, Wharton's duct means this, there is a submaxillary gland. Now you can see below the tongue is a ventral part, there is a pair of duct is there, no, that is called as Wharton's duct. Okay, it is a connecting between the, what is that, there is a lower part of the tongue and maxillary gland, no, this is called the Wharton's duct. There is a between hard palate, okay, the palate to the parotid gland, there is a another gland is called as duct of Stenson, right student? This is a very important student. Duct of Stenson, it is a parotid gland. Wharton's duct is found in the submaxillary gland only. So now you can see human teeth, actually there are 3 pairs of salivary glands are present. They are situated in the outside of the buccal cavity. So now this buccal cavity is there, now this region is present, oral cavity or buccal cavity, it is present the outside of the buccal cavity, right? Let us see what is the points it is there now. First of all, parotid gland, submandibular gland, also called submandibular or maxillary gland. Another one is sublingual gland. So let us talk about the first one is location. Where it is present the parotid gland, it is the largest gland student. You can see it is near the ear, that means cheeks. What is the presence of the location of the submandibular or submaxillary gland? At the junction of the upper and lower jaw. Upper and lower jaw, there is a submandibular or maxillary jaw, and it is a medium sized. And sublingual gland, it is located below the tongue. Now what is our another point, that is size. Size is actually the largest size it would be, that is parotid gland, and submandibular or submaxillary it is a medium size, and sublingual it is that very smallest size. Next, ducts. There is a duct is present between the palate and the parotid gland, that is called the, what is that, Stenson duct. There is a Wharton's duct is present. That is the longest salivary duct in the human being. And ducts of Ravenous, it is the shortest salivary duct. Okay, duct of Ravenous is found, it is connecting between the tongue and sublingual gland. And another one, submandibulary gland, there is a duct is called the Wharton's duct. And Stenson duct is of, what is that, parotid gland. So student, you may concentrate about these 3 ducts is a very important now. So definitely this is a very important points now. Ducts, they will ask. Next, opening of the duct. Where this duct is to be opening is occurs in the vestibule part of the upper jaw. Okay, vestibule part of the upper jaw, right, and behind the lower incisors in case of the submandibular. In case of the sublingual, buccopharyngeal cavity on ventral side of the tongue. So the ventral side of the tongue is represent, what is that? That is a duct is called as a duct of Ravenous, right? Next, the other one is called the saliva. Very important part now. Saliva composition. All salivary glands secrete the saliva only. How much percentage it is secreted? In case of the parotid gland, it secretes 25%. Submandibular or maxillary gland, maximum salivate is produced, that is around 70%, and the very less salivate is produced, that is that 5%, that is a minimum is present now. Next, what is the nerves are present in the parotid gland and submandibular gland and sublingual gland. So there is a nerve is actually called the ninth nerve. Okay, another one is that 7th nerve, and another one is that it is also a 7th nerve. So these are the nerves is actually, what is that, there is a spinal nerves is there, no student. This is we will discuss in the detailed manner in the control and coordination lesson. Next, what is the saliva now? Okay, The saliva actually, what is the composition of the saliva? So all the parotid gland and the three pairs of the salivary glands, it is a secrete this saliva. The secretion of the salivary gland and daily secretion is to be 1500 ml approximately. So the pH, that is 6.8, it is a slightly acidic, and composition is actually 99.5%, that is water only is present now. Now coming to the, it is made up of the enzyme. That enzyme is called as salivary amylase enzyme. It is also known as ptyalin. It is mainly found in the parotid. No, it is mostly present in the parotid gland. Let us say another enzyme is also present now, lysozyme, and a mucus and thiocyanate also present now. Few ions like sodium plus, K plus, potassium, chlorine, chloride ion and bicarbonate ion also present in the saliva. And there is an antibody called IgA antibodies present in the saliva. We already discussed in the at the time of immunoglobulin. So generally immunoglobulin IgA, it is found in the secretions. Here saliva is also one type of secretion, right? So here IgA antibody found in the secretions like a saliva, right? Next, small amount of the urea and uric acid is also present in the saliva. So student, this is about the composition of saliva. This is represent composition of saliva. Definitely they will ask student about the pH and about the water and what is the enzymes involved here and what is the ions and what is the antibody. This is a very important points now. I hope you understand these points. Let us discuss about the remaining part. Now you can see student, this is about the some questions. Up to now what we discussed now, this is about the some question. Now let us see the dental formula of adult man is, what is that? 2123 by 2123. That means premolar, canine, incisor, premolar and molar. So the correct option would be, it is 1 only. So 2123, it's incorrect. 2123, it is also incorrect. It is also incorrect. Next you can see, next this is, we'll discuss, there is a in colon, that is nothing but is a what is that, there is a colon, the construction of its wall of series of small pocket is called as the hastoria, right? So this is a colon, is actually, it is a part of, what is that, it is a large intestine part student. There is some constrictions we can observe now, that is we'll discuss in the next class, that is called as hastoria. So this is we'll discuss in the next class student, right? Next, pH of the stomach, it is always is to be acidity condition, that is 3 only. This is also we'll discuss in the next class student. Next, number of teeth which are monophoidant in man is, that is 12 no. The answer is the 12. Okay, so monophoidant, it is the monophyodont, the teeth in the man is always, it is a 12 is the answer. This is also we'll discuss later. Next, the other one is that the cells of epithelium lining in the vertebrate stomach are not damaged by HCl, hydrochloric acid, because of, what is the reason? The answer is mucus secretion covering by epithelium. For suppose you can see, this is about the stomach wall, right? This is about the stomach now, and this stomach actually wall is, we're talking about what is the stomach wall now? This is the stomach wall, right student? This is about the stomach wall now. So what they're talking about now, the cells of epithelium is in the vertebrate stomach are not damaged. So this is about the stomach wall. Why? Because of it's not damaged, because of it is having, there is a mucus line is present now here now. There is a goblet cells, it is responsible for the secretion of mucus. So this mucus is covers this wall. So whenever this HCl is released now, it will interact with this wall now. So the role of the mucus secretion covering this epithelium, it is a protect against the HCl. Not only HCl, it is also protect against the bacteria, right student? Next, the other one is that the structure which prevents the entry of food into windpipe during the swallowing in the mammals. That answer is epiglottis. Epiglottis actually is called as the flap-like muscle. It is called the flap-like muscle, muscular structure. It is a flap-like muscular structure. It prevents the entry of food particle into the respiratory system, right? So this is called the epiglottis. Next, which of the following is a common passage in the swallowing of food and breathing? Okay, so what is that? Both are for swallowing of the food and the breathing. What is the answer would be? It is pharynx. We already discussed, no? The pharynx is actually, it is a junction between respiratory system and digestive system. Next, the hardest constituent of the tooth is called as enamel. So enamel is actually hardest part in the what is that? That is a enamel. It is the outermost part of the teeth, and second hardest part, that is called the dentine, and bone and pulp is not there, no. So the first hardest part in the tooth is actually enamel only. Next, types of teeth in the human being, it is actually the thecodont, right? Always the thecodont. Next, the other one is, student, the posterior part of the soft palate hangs down in the pharynx is called as velum palae. It is also called as uvula. It is a hanging part of the posterior part of the soft palate is called uvula, also called as the velum palate. No. So next, the nasal chambers and buccal cavity are separated by palate. Palate is actually how many types? Hard palate and soft palate. Monophyletic teeth are actually premolars and molar. And the another one is that the presence of the water amount in the enamels, it is approximately, what is the, student? 3%, less than 3%. So student, this is about the today's class. Hello students. So in previous lecture we discussed about that is different types of the salivary glands we discuss. In the next topic, another topic it is, we are going to discuss, that is alimentary canal. Alimentary canal, actually student, we have a 4 layers are present now, 4 parts now. What are the 4 parts? You can see the first part, it indicate the, what is that? The first part is indicate the serosa, that is the outermost part, and the muscularis part, muscular part, it is called the muscularis. Inner circular muscularis and outer longitudinal muscularis. This is about the second one. This is the first one. Outermost layer of the alimentary canal is a serosa, and below the layer, that is a considered as, what is that? Muscularis layer. Muscularis layer is actually, this is also muscularis. Okay, 2 and 2 both are muscularis. This is called as the outer muscularis, and this one is called the inner muscularis. Right, student? And muscularis is actually another layer is called the submucosa. Submucosa followed by the last layer is called mucosa, and the center part we can represent, that is lumen. Right, student? This is about the alimentary canal 4 layers. Let us discuss about the 4 layers. What are they? You can see the wall of alimentary canal is made up of 4 layers. So outer to inner. So what is the outer layer? Serosa. Inner nothing but mucosa. Right, student? So the serosa will discuss about that. It is the outermost layer, right? And serosa means visceral peritoneum. Right? It is also called as the visceral peritoneum. It is a composed of, what is the areolar connective tissue. Here CTs represent areolar connective tissue. And simple squamous epithelium. It is a mesolithium. Okay, mesolithium. Its origin would be, it is that mesodermal only. Some part of the gut lined with a tunica adventitia, which is a part of the white fibrous connective tissue and areolar connective tissue. What is the part, student? Some part of the gut. Some part of the gut means in the stomach region or in the alimentary part is represent aligned with the tunica adventitia. This is a very, very important part. What is the tunica adventitia is made up of? It is made up of the white fibrous connective tissue and areolar connective tissue. So student, what you understand in this simply, it is that it is a outermost layer of the gut, right? So it is also called the visceral peritoneum. Let us talk about the second layer, that is called the muscular layer. We can see this is a part I am explained now. The serosa part we completed now. Now let us see this part. Inner circular muscularis, outer longitudinal muscularis. So I am talking about this part now, right? So you can see what this part indicate now. It is formed by a circular inner layer, right? And longitudinal outer layer of both is made up of a smooth muscle. Right, student? Here the thick layer found in the stomach, that is the maximum peristalsis we can observe now? A thin layer we can observe in the rectum. It is a minimum peristalsis. So you already know about the what is the meaning of the peristalsis. Peristalsis means the wavelength of movement of food particle, right? Wavelength of movement of food is nothing but peristalsis. Generally peristalsis is occurs in the esophagus, even though it is also found in the stomach. And the minimum peristalsis is occurred in the rectum. A rectum is actually what is that? It is above the anus, right? Next, stomach contains additional oblique. The stomach contains additional oblique muscular layer just inner to circular muscles. So we are talking about what is that? Generally we have a see here the thick layer, the thick muscular layer we can observe in the stomach region only. So in addition to the thick layer, any additional oblique muscular layer is also present in stomach. So that would be it is a present from interior to a circular muscle. Right, student? So let us, this is about the muscular layer, student. Next part, that is submucosa part. It is a composed of areolar connective tissue, right, with a blood vessels, lymph vessels and nerves is present. What is the, student? Submucosa, areolar connective tissue. It is made up of the blood vessels and lymph vessels and nerves are present. Next, the last layer, that is mucosa. It is the innermost layer of the gut, right, and which contain the secretory and absorptive cells. Generally this mucosa you can see, for example, goblet cells. You can take an example. What is the example here though? Goblet cell. This goblet cell secrete mucus. Okay, so here the for example of the secretory action, it is the goblet cell. What is the absorptive cell example? It is villi. Right, student? Absorptive cell. So the villi, it is increasing the surface area of food, right? It is a majority of the food is occurs in the villi. Villi, it is found in a small intestine. Right, student? So the mucosa, it is the innermost layer of the gut. It contains the secretory. Example of the secretory, it is a goblet cell. It secretes the mucus. What is the role of the mucus? It is responsible to protect the HCl and pathogens and bacteria. And villi, it is responsible for the absorptive function. Right, student? So this is about the mucosa. Let us talk about the mucosa. Mucosa, it is a innermost layer. That is this is a part we discussed, no, student? This one, last part. So the mucosa, it is a further divided into a 3 layers, student. What are they? Outer layer, it is a towards to the submucosa. That means you can see this is mucosa. This is a mucosa is there. No, we're talking about this layer. No, right? This layer, or this is the outer layer. No, this outer layer, it is a present. This is the this is the outer layer. This is the outer layer of mucosa. Right, student? So this is present towards to the submucosa. Right? So this one is the outer layer is a towards to the submucosa. That's why it is called the mucosa muscularis. Okay, mucosa muscularis, outer layer. What is the outer layer? It is made up of? It is made up of the smooth muscle cell. It is important role in the exposing surface area for absorption, and they also provide to the support to fold of mucosa. So supporting a fold of mucosa, and it is made up of the smooth muscle and exposing the surface. For why it is exposing a surface? For area for absorption. Right, student? This is about the outer layer importance. Let us see the middle layer. Middle layer is actually this part, right? This part. For suppose I will change the color. Blue color I will choose now. So this part, you can see I am drawing the line now. You can see, student, this part, what is the called now? You can see this part is called the middle layer. Okay, middle layer. Middle layer is also, it is a lamina propria. Okay, propria. Lamina propria or middle layer, both are similar only. It is a composed of the lymphatic tissue referred as malt. What is the meaning of malt? Mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. Okay, malt. What is the malt can do? It is a provide immunity. The best example of this one is Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches is the best example for malt. Malt means mucosa associated lymphatic tissue. Generally middle layer is made up of the lymphatic tissue, And if the lymphatic tissue is found in the mucosal layer, that is a lamina propria, that's we call the mucosal associated lymphatic tissue. And the common example of this one is Peyer's patches. Okay, and it is also made up of areolar connective tissue. So student, majority of the alimentary canal is made up of the areolar connective tissue, right? So this is also very important part. So first part we discuss, second part we discuss now, and the third layer you can see, student, the third layer, that is innermost layer, right? Innermost layer, it is also called as, it is a epithelial mucosa, right? Epithelial mucosa. So this epithelial mucosa, what it can do, it is found in esophagus, food pipe. It is made up of the non-keratinizer stratified squamous epithelium. That means don't have any keratin. Okay, don't have any keratin in this case. So except esophagus, in this layer, the single layer is thick, is made up of the columnar mucosal epithelium. So the folds of esophagus are less developed, whereas the folds of the stomach are finger-like shaped, are developed as a gland is called the gastric gland. So student, what you understand in the innermost layer, what is that? Here in the esophagus, it is an innermost layer, it is made up of the epithelial mucosa. So that means you can see this part I'm talking about, right? Innermost mucosa, it is a lumen only. Okay, so it is except esophagus, right? So there is it is applicable to the, what is that, the stomach, and finger-like shaped structure we can observe in the intestine, and developed as a gland that is called as a gastric gland only. So student, this is about the 4 alimentary canal properties. Let us see the another important, student. Next, we're talking about the small intestine, right? Villi is also, what is the part it is? No, it is a villi. It is a villi, actually mucosa part we already discussed now. What is that? One is the secretory part, another one is that absorbative part. So absorbative part, that is nothing but villi is there. No, villi is actually we can observe in the small intestine. The small intestine, the plasma membrane is a different. It is a modified into a finger-like extension. You can see the diagram part here. No. For suppose you can see this is a finger-like extension is to be developed now. So this is what we call now villi, right student? Villi. So what the villi can do? Villi are supplied with the network of blood capillaries and lymphatic capillaries that we call as lacteals, right? Lacteals. What is the lacteals here now? You can see, student. So this is about the villi. Villi is also, this is a villi, no student. Just a minute. So this is about the villi, no. In the inside the villi we have a lacteal is there, no. What is the lacteal can do? It is responsible for the absorption of fat. Absorption of fat. This is a very important point, student. It is not there in this point. You can mention here, no. So here what is that? This villi, it is supplied with the network of blood capillaries, and the lymphatic capillaries example is lacteal. What is the lacteal can do? Lacteal is responsible for absorption of fat. Next, the cells of this free surface of the villi are called the enterocyst. That means you can see free surface, no. Villi, this is as there, no. All this free surface is called the enterocyst. What is the enterocyst can do? Enterocyst is actually having the numerous microscopic bristle-like projections that we call as the microvilli or brush border epithelium. It is made up of brush border epithelium. So student, this point is very important point now. Okay, so what you understand, student? For suppose I am drawing the diagram now, you can see this is about the finger-like extension is called the villi. So now this villi having there is so many projections is there, no. So many finger-like projections is there, no. That we called as, what is that? Microvilli. So what is this part is called as microvilli. What is the microvilli can do? It is also absorption only. So this microvilli is actually made up of the brush border epithelium, right student? So what it can do, student? That is increase the surface area for the absorption of the nutrients and digested food. So this is actually action of villi and microvilli property. Next one, on the On the surface of the mucous epithelium, that means what is that mucous epithelium? Mucus, it is a goblet cells are present and secrete the mucus that act as a lubrication and protect epithelium surface from the damage and the digestion. Let us see, for example, one more point. You can I'll see no. For example, you can see, student, I will change the color for blue. I'll change the color for a green, right? So one more important point, there is a goblet cells also present in between this microvilli. So this is a green color part. What is that? No, there is a goblet cells also is present. No, this is what we call now. This is called the goblet cell. What is the purpose of this goblet cell? It is a secrete the mucus. Okay, it secrete the mucus. You can see, secrete the mucus that acts as a lubrication and to protect the epithelium surface from the damage and digestion. Protect the epithelium surface. Generally, epithelium is made up of what is that? It is a brush border epithelium, right? So it is to protect this goblet cells secrete the mucus. That mucus, it protect the epithelium and from the damage and digestion, right, student? Next, there is a small slit-like space. It is found in the base of the villi. So where is the base of the villi? It is there. No, you can see. So this is about the base of villi. Now I can see, student, this one, the green color part, what we call no, this is called the villi. No, student, you can see this is all nothing but villi only. Now we're talking about the base of the villi. That means this one. Okay. Now I can see the U-shaped part is there in this diagram. It is called as what that? You can see there is a space in between this base of the villi. There is a space we are talking about now. You can see the small slit-like space. That means you can see in between there is a space. I will add the one color here now. There is a blue line is there now. This space is called as the crypt of lubricants. Okay, crypt of lubricants. This is also called as the COL. Right, student? So this is about the information about that, what is that, villi and lacteal. No. So what is that, student? You can see this is a villi and a lacteal, and it is a villi is actually it is made up of, it is associated with the capillaries and arteries, and there is a veins also is there. No, right? The base of the villi, there is a space is called the crypt of lubricants. Next, one more important point, student. The maximum villi, it is located in the jejunum. It is the second part of the small intestine. Generally, the small intestine, there are three parts now. What are they? Ileum, duodenum, jejunum. Duodenum is a C shape and followed by jejunum, and jejunum is followed by ileum. Right, student? So this is about the today's class. So the next class we will discuss about the remaining continuation part of the elementary canal. Thank you, student.